Party people in the place to be. It's me. I've been laid up sick the last couple of weeks, which is why you haven't heard anything new. I had some plans to do some other videos responding to other shit and reviewing other shit, and I wasn't able to get to any of those because I've been laid up in bed with shingles and that shit hurts. Thanks, chickenpox 25 years ago. Anyway, I'm laid up sick. I'm recovering. Able to focus for small amounts of time. I'm sitting here and I'm just cruising the internet, kind of bored, and I see this thing that makes me unbored, but also makes me not sick anymore. Reverses the fucking trajectory I was going on in the positive direction of getting me back to healthy. Is I see that Paul Feig, the new director of the reboot of Ghostbusters, has lined up his cast, and holy fuck, what a shitty cast this is. I don't need to break down the cultural significance of Ghostbusters. I'm going to break down, just for a moment, the artistic significance of Ghostbusters. What happened was, in the early 80s, late 70s, you had this group of really talented comedians and movie makers and television makers, young guys, kind of mavericks on the scene, consisting primarily of Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ivan Reitman, and Harold Ramis. Came together on other collaborations, one of the, between Caddyshack, between Stripes, you had some amazing material there. Some very, very good material. Sometimes a little dated, but very good material. When they came together on Ghostbusters, that was the perfect storm. They took everything that they learned along the way in those other two really good movies and made a culturally significant, amazing achievement in comedy. A timeless, classic comedy that never should have been fucked with. Then they decided to go and fuck with it with Ghostbusters 2. Now, some people are split on whether they like Ghostbusters 2 or not. I personally like it, partially because what I later found out was really Ghostbusters 2, if you look at the original Ghostbusters script, Ghostbusters 2 was all the stuff they didn't have time to film for Ghostbusters 1. I'm okay with Ghostbusters 2. It's kind of a addendum to Ghostbusters. It's kind of a supplement to Ghostbusters. Plus, it had all the original cast back. It lost. There was some charm that was a little bit lost, but in other ways, it found a new charm to go along with. So I'm fine with Ghostbusters 2. We're talking about Ghostbusters 3 now, a movie that should never have ever been in anybody's mind to fucking do. I understand that Dan Aykroyd was all gung-ho about this, but something tells me Dan Aykroyd doesn't know how to move on. Doesn't know when to move on. As much as I love and admire and have studied the Ghostbusters script, as much as I love and admire and have studied the Ghostbusters 2 script and other things that he's done and enjoyed him, I don't understand why he can't enjoy what he did and leave it the classic that it is. I don't understand why he was so damn gung-ho. Bill Murray decided not to do it. Rick Moranis retired from fucking acting. Sigourney Weaver didn't want to do it for a number of years. I don't understand it. Leave this shit alone. So all of a sudden there's huge money and nostalgia and everybody wants to go back and do Ghostbusters 3 and they want to do it with an all-female cast. That's my other problem. Is that somebody decided to make Ghostbusters 3 a fucking political statement. And Ghostbusters is not a political statement. It is not. There's some bureaucracy. There's some stories about bureaucracy in there. A little bit of political humor about that. But it's not based on that. It's not the story of 4 guys who fight the man. Or 4 people who fight bureaucracy. It's the story of 4 lovable losers who win in the end against ghosts. The fucking mentality that Ghostbusters has to be for women because women are funny too, so we have to show 4 funny women in there in Ghostbusters, deviates from what made Ghostbusters good in the first fucking place. I'm not against female Ghostbusters. I liked Extreme Ghostbusters, the cartoon. I like that. And there was a female Ghostbuster there. I don't have a problem with there being female Ghostbusters, or maybe even 2 female Ghostbusters, maybe even 3 and a male Ghostbusters. Who knows? However the casting comes together for the characters in a particular movie. Let's not even talk about Ghostbusters. In a particular movie, in a particular television show or particular work, if the characters that come together their gender doesn't always have to be the main point, and the idea that you're going to take 4 women and make a political statement that's already been made a million times before, that doesn't need to be made in today's environment, that doesn't prove anything or a point at all, is fucking ludicrous. But okay, fine. You want to pick 4 females to be Ghostbusters. Well, there are a ton of funny women in Hollywood. There's a long list of women in Hollywood that you can, whether they be comedians or comedic actors, who you can get to be Ghostbusters and have it be, and they would be funny. A long list. None. Okay, 3 of the 4 Ghostbusters I would never, that they decide to cast, or at least early casting, would never be on my list of funny women in Hollywood ever, because they're not. You understand? Not because they're women, but because they're not funny. Because I can rattle off 20 or 30, 40 or 50 names of other funny women who are funnier than these women. You want me to start rattling off? How about Sarah Silverman? How about Garfunkel and Oates? How about Lynn Koplitz? How about Amy Schumer? How about... There's a long list of funny women! None of which... 3 of which are fucking miscast here. Alright, so I'm looking at the list. Sources tell Variety, according to Yahoo, that Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, Kate McKinnon, and Leslie Jones are in early negotiations to star in the Ghostbusters reboot. Fuck all of that. For various reasons. Let's start off with the positive. Kate McKinnon. I've seen her on SNL. I like her on SNL. I think depending on the writing and of the sketch, she can be very funny. She can be very effective and very funny. However, she wouldn't be on my short list of comedians to star in Ghostbusters movies. She's good, but there are a ton of other really good, really funny actresses who probably have a little bit more seasoning, or probably a little bit funnier in a movie environment as opposed to a sketch comedy or stand-up comedy that you could put in that role. But that's not necessarily to take away from Kate McKinnon. I think Kate McKinnon has potential to be very funny, has potential to be funnier than she already is. I think that she's probably just not ready for that type of role in that type of movie, the kind of weight that goes along with it. Now to the negatives. Everyone else. Fucking everyone else. Let's start off with the small one, I guess, which is ironic because she's the big chick, fucking Leslie Jones. I've seen her on SNL and she's fucking terrible. I don't even know how the fuck she got cast. I think she got cast just to fucking fill the quota, and they're like, oh yeah, we need another black chick, but let's not make her the same black chick that we just hired, who was very funny. I can't think of her name right now. This is not right in front of me. But let's do big, black, and ghetto. Really don't want that in my fucking Ghostbuster. And which confuses me because they hired the big, loud, obnoxious chick from SNL, and they also hired Melissa McCarthy, who's made a fucking career of being the big, fat, loud, obnoxious chick in all her movies. The difference is black and white. Or not all her movies. Let me rephrase that. Not all her movies. I actually did just recently see St. Vincent. And the thing about Melissa McCarthy is in her subdued roles, she's very good and very effective. I heard that I've seen maybe an episode of her on Gilmore Girls. She was very good on the early season of Mike and Molly. I liked her on where she was being sarcastic and was saying stuff as opposed to being the female Chris Farley. And again, St. Vincent, she was very touching in that movie, and I liked her in that movie. Every other bullshit thing she does, though, isn't funny. Fat chick on a sink is not funny. The heat wasn't funny. Like, you guys are giving too much credit just because she's got a fucking vagina. How about the content of her work? The content of her comedic work is fucking retarded. It's stupid. It's terrible. It's not funny. It's not funny just because she has tits and a pussy. It's not. It's no funnier than when Chris Farley was doing it 10, 15 years ago, and all you people were shitting all over him. Why are you giving her Academy Awards when you were shitting all over Chris Farley? He was doing the same fucking shtick, but because he had a dick in the balls, now suddenly it's not funny? No, Melissa McCarthy is not funny, and her presence in a fucking Ghostbusters movie is insane. It's fucking ridiculous. That's not Ghostbusters. That's so not Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters was based, there was some physical comedy in Ghostbusters, but a lot of it was linguistics. A lot of it was language. A lot of it was the relationship between the characters, and you could see the relationship between the characters because the relationship between the actors was natural and real. Ivan Reitman helped facilitate bring that relationship that Aykroyd, Ramis, and Murray had and put it on screen. And then later, when Winston Zeddemore, the Honorable Mr. Ernie Hudson came in, that relationship developed naturally between him and Ray, and then that carried on into the other relationship with the Ghostbusters. There's something about organically developing the characters that you have on the page and on the screen. It worked because the three main guys, sorry Ernie, but the three main guys had this organic relationship that manifested itself and translated itself well on screen. This whole thing here with these four is fucking studio packaged to death and looks like it. It looks inorganic. It looks fake. It looks fucking terrible. The search for more money? Is that it? Is that old Spaceballs line coming true? The search for more money and that's it? What the fuck happened to artistic craft even in comedies? Remember, comedies didn't all have to be stupid too long ago. There was some heart in some comedies, and you're gonna manufacture it because everybody here is a chick? Because you want to prove a fucking political point that doesn't need to be proved in 2015? Fuck you! Make a good movie! And moving on to the first name and first picture on the fucking screen is Kristen Wiig. Let me explain something to you about Kristen Wiig's comedy stylings. It's all based on her disappearing chin. The fact that she can do this doesn't translate to funny. She became a breakout star in SNL because it was an era where mediocre equals funny. And it was probably in the middle of, there's still some of that now, but it's probably in the middle of this era where society felt that mediocre equaled great. And it doesn't. She's a mediocre comedian. She's terrible. She's not very funny. The couple of things that I've seen of her where she was funny at all was where she was playing the straight woman. Going back to another huge blockbuster she was in, she was the weakest part of Anchorman 2. And there are some weak parts in Anchorman 2. She was the absolute weakest. Her part in Anchorman 2 is the equivalent of what they're doing with this third Ghostbusters. It was this thing where somebody put some kind of label on her, somebody put some kind of tag on her where she was the new it girl, and then somebody decided, we have to shoehorn her in here even if she doesn't fit. We have to inorganically make something up to put her in this movie because she's hot right now, even if it takes away from the artistic merit of this fucking movie. And that's the same thing that's happening with this third Ghostbusters. They are shoehorning in bullshit just to make a grab for some cheap fucking dough. And this is one of those cornerstones where people complain about shit, but then people go see it. You know, people complain about Michael Bay movies, but fucking Transformers is always number one at the fucking box office, you tards. Because you keep paying him to make these fucking movies. So here's my plea to you. If you are a Ghostbusters fan, if you're a fan of comedy at all, don't go see this fucking movie. There was a movement a day ago, cancel WWE Network. Well, I'm going to start a fucking hashtag right now. Cancel Ghostbusters 3. I'm going to flash it. It's going to be on the bottom there on the link. It's going to be at the bottom of every post I put on Facebook. It's going to be, I'll fucking create a Twitter and put it on the bottom of every fucking Twitter thing I do. Cancel Ghostbusters 3. This is fucking terrible. This looks, none of the two least experienced women on this. The two directly from SNL currently, McKinnon and Jones, they are not ready for prime time, especially Jones. Jones is fucking horrible. McKinnon might be ready later, but she's not ready for a starring role right now. And the other two, Wig and fucking McCarthy, are fucking awful. They're not funny at all. They're the kind of celebrities who, once their name is attached to something, I don't want to see it. Like, I'm not interested in seeing them do their tired, hackneyed shtick. I'm not interested in 90 minutes of Melissa McCarthy bulldozing her way through scratching and belching and beating up people in a fucking Ghostbusters backpack. I'm not interested in that. Matter of fact, that's why her last movie, Tammy, tanked, because fucking America's sick of her shtick. They're sick of her shit. At least in that instance, they were sick of her lumbering her way through a goddamn movie. And I'm sick of her lumbering her way through goddamn movies. I'm sick of her belching and scratching her way through goddamn movies. And that's not this movie. Ghostbusters is not that franchise. This is not that movie. You go do Bridesmaids 2, then, if you want to do that same shit. But stay out of my fucking Ghostbusters. You want to cast a woman in Ghostbusters? Cast some funny women. Cast some women who are ready. Fuck this shit. Fuck this pile of fucking terribleness that you're trying to unload on the good, sacred name of fucking Ghostbusters. God damn it. Ghostbusters was a collection of extraordinarily talented people, top to bottom. Top to bottom. And by the way, this whole fucking political statement that you want to make about funny women and being in Ghostbusters, you guys are discounting the funny women that were in Ghostbusters. You guys are discounting how Sigourney Weaver, who was not a comedic actress at all, made her way into the movie and became a good foil, a good straight woman, and had some good punchlines in the Ghostbusters series. And sparred with Bill fucking Murray in both movies very well. You're taking away from Annie Potts. Annie Potts' character role in both Ghostbusters movies was exceptional. But you don't want to count that because they were outnumbered 2-1. That's the story that they decided to tell. God damn it. It's not anti-feminist that was the story they decided to fucking tell. It's not anti-women that's the story they decided to fucking tell. That was the story. And so if you want to tell a good story here that has women in it, fine. Create good characters and then say, this was a woman. Or create good characters where there are women in this universe with dudes. For this to be your statement that you have to have all women in this movie. No, you don't. And if you do, then get some funnier women. Where's Julia Louis-Dreyfus on this? She's fucking hilarious. Why isn't she cast in this? Why isn't I can't think of her name, but the chick from The Office who started as the blowjob chick and now has the show with Tina Fey. I can't fucking think of her name and I'm not gonna look it up. But she's funny. She could be in this as a sunshiny chick. Speaking of Tina Fey, where's Tina Fey? Where's Amy Poehler? They're funny women. You can put funny women in these roles and have these roles be good. But that's not what you're deciding to do, is it, Paul Fig? You're deciding to go with the people that you know, your friends, your Melissa McCarthy's and your Kristen Wiggs, because they made you a ton of money by saying, yeah, gross out humor is funny when chicks do it. It's not. That's not this movie. That's not this movie. That's not Ghostbusters. That's not my Ghostbusters. That's not anybody's Ghostbusters. You're fucking this up. And if you continue to fuck this up, and if you continue down this terrible, terrible road that you are destined to go on, if you continue to tell fucking Gozer that you're not a god, then fuck you! Cancel Ghostbusters 3. Hashtag cancel Ghostbusters 3. Fuck this movie. Fuck this casting. Fuck Paul Fig. Fuck everybody involved in this fucking godforsaken abortion of an experiment in cinema. Cancel Ghostbusters 3.